you can request the deductor to please revise your quarterly statement. After the revision of the quarterly statement, he can again verify this, and thereafter there is no issue of making any additions to your income part. But this is a nuisance value which happens. I agree.
Yeah, second thing happened, my name is Lalwani. My client is having two professional business, both are the Lalwanis. They are paid to them, deducted 90,000 TDS on our record. They have filed the returns.
Okay. So a wrong PAN number is mentioned. A wrong PAN number is mentioned. In any case, भाई होते लालवानी साहब. But जब तक लालवानी है ठीक है. But what about if it is some other money? तो bad बात है. Now what happens is so the question comes over here is if you have not received any income, if you don't know that party, but in your 26 AS it is appearing, then how do you deal this? This is also simple. You need to write to that officer that at the outset, I do not know this person. It is an error of the department. Why should say error of any ABC? It is error of the department that is shown in my 26 AS. You kindly let me know that who has deducted this TDS in my PAN number. So let the owners first of all pass to him.
In diamond cases, they have written by voters only, they have deducted for their employees' name, they have written in 194C and shown we have paid labor charges and all that. So now they are asking for our bank statement, everything. You have not received or whatever you do.
Yeah, so I am saying that I agree with you. So I agree with you.
These mischief,
so I agree. My bank statement, mine is an ongoing scrutiny. So I will say. Yeah, so mine is an because of this notice matter is selected for scrutiny.
Employee got now he has
तो वो तो अभी उसका bad luck है. Why did you work with a diamond company? You should not have. But that problem would be there. I agree with him that can be a case for selection of scrutiny. That can be a case of selection of scrutiny.
So now he is asking for.
Now that is a nuisance. आपने उनका खाया है तो भी चुका. But नहीं employee है ना. But to tackle this issue, the best way is you should put that ball in his court. That is number one.
What they have done last month in the 31st March, they wanted to claim some expenses. They have debited to various employees and deducted TDS and claimed the expenses.
No. In fact, in such cases, what we should do is we should tell that officer that look, that person deductor has filed a wrong return, incorrect return. Kindly initiate penalty proceedings against him to show कि you have got गुस्सा आया कि उसके वजह से मेरे को ये प्रॉब्लम हो रही है. You show it in black and white. ये क्या है लगा रखा है आप लोग मेरे को क्यों हैरान करते हो?
But this is a misuse of PAN number, no? Just PAN number I use for purchasing a property or something and purchasing some high value goods. Correct? It's a misuse of banks.
Sir, even banks, even many NRIs are suffering from such things because banks do not respond. So they commit mistakes, but they do not respond to NRIs. And NRIs don't have time to follow.
What NRIs? Even residents don't have time. Why go to NRI? Poor NRIs, so they are why poor? Sorry, rich NRIs, so they are sitting out of India. But sitting over here also, do we have time for all that compliances? For our clients, we don't have time. If at all we will have time, so we will give for our clients' work. अपना काम तो फिर जाता है जाने दे पैसा. That problem is there. I appreciate. But in short, I am trying to tell you that in the scrutiny, if you have to face this, you need to show that this is a mistake done by the deductor. I should not be, if at all he makes an addition, then at least at the higher authorities, the appellate position, your case is strong. That look, I had told him to do ABC, which he has not carried out. And on the contrary, I have been penalized for it. So that's the way how you can approach for your this thing. The another thing I wanted to just bring to your notice is that regarding excess payment of TDS. At times it happens by mistake that you have deposited इलेक्ट्रॉनिक पेमेंट करना है, 3 जीरो दबाने का तो 4 जीरो दब गया, so the payments have already gone. Now as per the provision of this TDS, as on date, there is no specific provision made that you can get a refund. However, they are again still designing a module. They have already, here is that 26B is for this. You need to fill up 26B. And after filling up 26B, the refund will come to you. This is what the actual procedure under the law is. But, as I told you, not very effective. So the other procedure is that you will have to file a letter to the TDS officer. He will not do anything. You will have to file it to the commissioner. He will also not do anything.
Go to bank and they can.
Yeah, I'll come to that. The commissioner will also not do anything. The reason being the commissioner will say कि हमारे पास तो checkbook भी नहीं है, हम कहाँ से देगा? Then the third way is, if it's a big amount, you need to file a writ petition, and then you can get a refund. Otherwise, wait for that module. They are coming with that 26Q, 26B, and you can get a refund.
But
Now, as our chairman said, just one second. As our chairman said that you can go to the bank and do it. Yes, if it is within, I think what 7 days.
7 days.
If it is within 7 days,
Online payment हो रहा है.
and then if it is with online, then gaya offline हो.
Not the online, no, because audit cases you have to pay.
It has to be done online, but many cases who have not done, only that benefit they can take it. Yeah, you had something to say.
Yes, one case I got the refund from the TDS.
No, now there's a circular and they have a proper budget unit-wise, and they are keeping that budget, and we have also got a refund.
Okay, good news is that yes, you need not go to the court itself. You can make an approach to the TDS officer, convince him.
I
How to
convinced
convince
the
the
CIT.
people know it?
CIT has given the directed the officer to
It is all.
Directed or you have got the refund?
I got the refund.
हाँ, then directions तो बहुत आ जाएगा.
We also got it.
So we then we have to approach him to ask him कि कैसे manage किया refund लाने को, and if you can manage it, fine. Okay. Now coming to the other issues, small issues, let us pick up rapidly. So thereafter again we have some question answers. Friends, the payee is supposed to give the PAN number. A valid PAN number he is supposed to give. If the payee doesn't give the valid PAN number, then it's a default of the payee also, and he can also be penalized for by way of 10,000 rupees. Coming to the other penal provisions, which are very few on the statute, which are very active. So that's the only good part, that which are very active. The reason being, they have already penalized by other different provisions, like 234E, 200 rupees per day, till the default continues.
Mandatory.
Mandatory. Penalty otherwise is supposed to be, at least an opportunity should be given. What is this? Nothing less than a penalty. It is much more than a penalty. At least penalty is better, and opportunity is given. Opportunity is given to at least something we can understand, कि थोड़ा आप समझो, थोड़ा मैं समझो, कुछ भी समझ हो सकता है. But otherwise there is no समझ. It is automatic. However, this has been challenged. But in Bombay, the challenge is unsuccessful. But there are other 2 courts which has granted stay, not a general stay, but to the particular SSCs who have filed a writ, and there they have accepted the writ, and let us wait for the outcome, because I hope very fast that outcome goes to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court comes out with a judgment, because here in Bombay for us it will be difficult. Somehow in Bombay we have lost the case in the High Court, saying that this fine is valid fine and it can be levied by the department. If you ask me particularly, it should not be levied, not because I don't like it. The provision, the way it is drafted, already there is a penalty provision, 271 capital H, which is there to take care of if you have not filed in time, paid late, filed late, etc., etc. The court was given to understand that this is a mere 200 rupees that what the department is charging. And the reason of charging was given is so that the person who wants to claim, he can claim it on time, he can file the return of time, he can see his 26 years on time. Otherwise, because of this delay, he will not be able to view his 26 years, he will not be able to correctly file his TDS returns. And the poor court got convinced. And they said that yes, this provision is right.
More than that, it was not brought out that they have been changing the FU files every now and
Yeah.
then. The hardship of the SSE was never brought out.
Not brought out. It was not.
It is administrative charges. It is fees for administrative charges.
For compliance to be done on time. So for whatever reason, we don't have a favorable decision in the jurisdiction of Bombay. Thereafter, for non-quoting of correct pen or incorrect pen, for non-quoting of pen or incorrect pen, we already know that there is a very good mechanism to charge you, and that is 20% tax straight away. So if you have not quoted correct pen in your quarterly statement, you will get another statement showing the liability of by way of calculating of the 20%. So you need to be very careful while quoting your in the return while quoting correct pen.
By the way, that credit can you get now? In one of our cases, he did give NRI his PAN number. So now when we went to bank, he said, "Here I will rectify and you will get the credit."
Yes. It can be rectified and the credit is to be allowed. Yes, you will get that credit. Yeah. Friends, now before I take up specific provisions, I think if we have questions of other than 194I, maybe TDS credit or anything else, let us take that. Why I am saying other than 94I, because we have discussed 194I. I have no issues even if 194 is to be discussed.
So regarding cash system and mercantile system, still we are not getting the TDS.
Okay. Now he's talking about the mismatch.
Yeah, mismatch.
The mismatch is particularly for our own professionals who file the return by way of a cash system of accounting. We receive our fees based on the cash system, whereas the deductor, he normally makes the provision on the mercantile basis and which he deducts the tax. Let us explain this provision more by way of an example to simplify it. The deductor has made a provision of rupees 1 lakh in year 1. He has deducted TDS at the rate of 10% for the audit fees, professional fees. In year 2, the audit is carried out and he receives the fees. Thoda mandi chal raha hai, market thanda hai, he receives only 50%. So he receives 1 lakh minus 10,000, that is TDS, 90,000 was supposed to be paid, he receives 45,000. In the year 2, market was so bad that he is insolvent, he is not even given anything. So in short, he has received 45,000 rupees by way of check. The question comes that what is the year in which he gets a credit? First, before addressing the credit, let us understand what is the year in which he is supposed to show that 10,000 income which has been credited, which has been deducted by way of TDS. Section 198 says that the tax is, the tax which has been deducted is a deemed income of the assessee. So the 10,000 rupees, the tax which is deducted in year 1 is a deemed income of the assessee. The question comes whether it is this 10,000 that professional A who has received by way of TDS in year 1, if I am saying if he has received by way of TDS in year 1 is the income of that. There are already two views which are prevailing in our own profession. Certain big chartered accountant firms are treating this as the income in year 1, but not in the books of account. They are doing this by way of entry under section 198 in the computation and filing the return of income, showing that 10,000 as an income and the 10,000 is treated as a TDS credit also. I do not advise to this view. I have a different view. I say yes, it is an income. The number one income of which year? The income. It is the income the year in which my accounting policy that I am following. So if I am following a cash system of accounting, it's an income of that year. Secondly, even 198 says it's an income in which the year the tax has been deducted and paid. If it is paid in the year 2, because it is deducted in year 1 but paid in year 2, it's the income of year 2. That's the second reason I am advocating for. Thirdly, there are various Bombay Tribunal pronouncements which has now said that yes, it is to be treated as an income based upon the income what the SSC is following. The accounting, the mercantile system, the cash system, according to that the income will accrue. So the income will accrue and that will become the income of that year. So for all that year, the 10,000 becomes the income of year 2. He has received rupees 45,000 in year 2. So whether his TDS credit, what he will be allowed is of 45,000 or whether he will be allowed on the proportion 45,000 that is 5,000 or whether on the entire 10,000. Here the credit is to be allowed as per section 199 rule 37B(a), which says that one of the conditions which says that TDS credit will be allowed based on the income of the year in which it is assessable. So if you are following a cash system of accounting, your income is of rupees 45,000 is assessable, proportionate 50,000 is assessable, therefore only 5,000 will be allowed. However, we have a decision of Bombay Tribunal in the case of Varsha, Sargaonkar, something, which says that the entire 10,000 will be allowed. But in my view, reading at the law, it should be only proportionate 5,000 that will be allowed. And in the year 3, since he has not received anything, nothing will be allowed. This is what the law I have discussed for the last 7-8 minutes, but it does not appeal to our income tax officers. So now what appeals to income tax officers? In income tax office, they will say that you have to reconcile and give it to me. So it's a very Herculean task, if you ask me. The only fortunate part is, since last 2 years, we have a schedule in the return of income, which says that the tax has been deducted and the year whether you have claimed that you can mention that assessment year. So I think that should help us. But till now, for the assessment, till our office says that for till 14-15, in virtually last 5 years, all my areas are running. In my own SSCs, in my own office cases, there are areas outstanding and rectifications have not been carried out. Only thing is that I need to talk to some commissioner saying that ये करवा लीजिए साहब जल्दी अभी आपके अच्छे
Carry forward is not happening in the next year.
brought forward is not taken as brought forward. Automatically it is not taken. So that problem is that. But if you fill it up in your return of income and then you have something to say that already so my return of income also shows this. But we have already approached higher authorities and higher authorities have told that you have to consider this mismatch concept. The assessing officer is supposed to allow this TDS credit, and higher side, if you want, you can take an affidavit from the SSC and thereafter allow this TDS credits. This is what they have told at the higher authorities.
Is there any way where if I were to see whether how many amount of TDS is still unclaimed in respect of earlier years, say assessment year 10, 11, 12, where I already sown my income in subsequent year, but I forget to claim that TDS.
Very good question. Yeah, why should that not be there? I don't think that is available. But yeah, this should be, a recommendation should be made to the department that at least you give that much of service so that I know that what I am supposed to pay, you know it. But what I am supposed to get, that also you should tell us. His question is very good. He is saying that look, I have already offered that income to tax. I have paid the taxes, but I have not taken the credit of the TDS. Why? तो अभी मेरे पास TDS certificate नहीं था, कौन पंगा लेगा? अभी नहीं है TDS certificate बढ़ दिया.
He has not paid.
He has paid after 2 years. Assuming. The time limit is over. The assessment is over.
So the government has collected. He is trying to say that why should one pay double tax? The same income. Why should the government get the revenue twice? One I have paid, the other the payee has already deducted, maybe that year, after year, whatever year. So at least you tell me in my name मेरा कितना credit पड़ा है. So how will you reconcile of whether I have taken the credit or not?
No, you need to reconcile. In one of the big chapter of Fox case which we are handling, 15 lakh rupees is stuck because of that. You reconcile each year which credit has come entry to entry.
Exactly. That is what is asked to me. That is what is asked to us also. That reconciliation is a big problem. If our auditor is ready to do it, I am more than happy to give it to him.
Sir, here one is supposed to issue TDS certificate within certain time.
30 days.
Right? Now, what does the issue means? What does issue means? See, many banks are keeping the certificates in their bank, and the depositor is supposed to collect the certificates from the bank.
Okay.
Now,
There's a difference between, at many places, we have already this word, issued and served. The issued means, it's not for 16A, but otherwise it has been, say for example, 148 notice is to be issued within 6 years from the end of the relevant year, assessment, blah, blah, blah. So here the word is issued. Now issued, here in 148 what has happened is the courts have held issued, and if you are keeping it with you, that does not mean it is issued. Issued followed by a delivery within a reasonable time is to be treated as issued. So if you are supposed with the 30 days is on 30th of June.
see, now recently a survey was carried out in the bank, and they have found many TDS certificates lying with the bank branch itself. Now they propose to levy penalty for non-issuance of those certificates. What would be the act?
But there is a recourse is there. Bank are asking for email. By sending email it is issued.
No, in spite of that, we are facing
Digitally signed and issued.
The problem is today that I have a company which issues say 200 certificates per quarter. He posts everything. There is one guy with whom he has a file. He has gone and complained to the TDS division. I have not received and he has not sent me. Now I don't have post. Here the law. I have been charged with 36,000 penalty. I am a tribunal. CIT appeal also did not agree. CIT appeal did not agree that I have issued 200 certificates.
Email is the best proof.
It's not received.
Email is the best proof with digital signing.
But in those electronic cases you can, but in many physical cases, what the bank will do? Because bank has not issued, those certificates are lying with the bank branch itself, and these people have, while surveying the bank, they have noticed and collected those certificates. Means reprint that.
I can tell you a very compliant concern also. If tomorrow you have to go and given one day to you, then you will be able to find out at least 5 faults. A very good compliant concern also. I can talk very well on TDS, but still if you start looking my books of account, you will find out at least 5 mistakes on TDS. So the TDS is such a provision that for any small things they have made it penalty. But that's on the statute. And here in your case, the TDS certificates, just taking a printout from the bank, lying on his desk, would not be treated as issues.
See, even they are not signed. They are, no. Let me tell you. See,
I understand. 26, what is the relevance? I am surprised that the commissioner has not deleted the penalty for the best reasons known to him and the commissioner. He has not deleted. Otherwise, it's a genuine case. What did the revenue lose? And if for 199 persons, if he has already issued, why for that 1 person he will not give it to him? But
you can't convince and fancy. You can't.
yeah. Any other questions before we wind up, friends?
So one question.
Yeah.
About tenancy agreement. If the market value is it is on a stand to be 1 crore. If the considered amount is 0, still you talk notice.
No, no. In that case, you don't have to, because here the word used is consideration. Here the word 50C and 43C has nothing to do with 194IA. It is the consideration. What is it? Let us take the last question.
So what will be the rate of TDS in the case of sale of immovable property by an NRI?
Same, 1%.
Sale of property by NRI.
Oh, NRI is a seller.
20%.
I think your question should have been on what amount I should deduct TDS, right? And not on the rate. The rate is 20%. If it's a long term, if it's a short term, 30%.
If it's short term,
30%.
30%.
If your question I have answered, then I have answered.
I need to have the purchase and sale documents of the NRI to ascertain whether.
So that's why I am saying that whether on which amount, your question should have been on which amount. Is it the consideration amount or is it the gain amount? Right? That's your question. I thought that should be a question. Anyway, 195 talks about that you should pay on the amount of the sales consideration. However, we have decisions to support this, wherein it says that if you could very easily compute his gain, because the word uses income chargeable. Under 195, if we see, the word uses income chargeable. So what would be an income chargeable? If you could calculate it only on the basis of a sales agreement and the earlier purchase agreement, that is the cost, if you could reduce it, apply your indexation, etc., then it could be on the capital gain. But however, there are certain people who would even stretch it to say that, look, what is chargeable, then I am investing in 54 EC, I am investing in another flat, etc., etc. Those all, by no chance you can take the benefit. In that case, you need to make an application 195.3 or 197 and take a lower tax reduction certificate. But the very safer view would be that you should deduct it on the actual sales consideration and not even on the capital gain. But by any chance, if you have, because there is one Supreme Court decision in the case of Transmission Corporation, wherein the Supreme Court said that you are not supposed to step into the shoes of the assessing officer.
Best option is to get the certificate.
Yeah, that is the best. What our chairman says. Next question. I agree.
He's invested the whole property. There is no capital.
Last question.
He uploaded his new online procedure. Now one more 15 years down. So then it cannot be revised.
अभी तक तो ओरिजिनल नहीं फाइल किया मैंने. Anyway, you have a question of revise. There is no provision to revise.
Now you have to find important, right?
You are answering this question? No. Well, I don't know. See, to tell you honestly, let me confess this fact that I am very bad in the procedural part. I tell my office to do and I take answers from them. But I did not take this answer.
In this case, you can send a letter. See, even in Form 35 new module which they have come for filing of appeal, someone had filed the appeal and there was no attachments. So we had approached the CIT TDS system because there was no attachment and I filed my appeal. So he said, you give me a letter and you send the letter once to the Commissioner Appeal concerned and we will take care of it. That's the only way you can do it because there is no procedure prescribed as of today.
No, but I think that also we can make a recommendation that revision should also be. I agree with it. Anyway, friends, I tried to deal with the subject, though it was quite general. I could not be specific for the reasons that I have told you. But I once again thank the President, Chairman for giving me an opportunity and discussing with you all. Thanks.
Just two announcements. There is a capital markets seminar on 29th and 30th for 2 days. It's a good cause if you want to enroll. And there's also a seminar by Allied Laws on real estate regulation and development on Wednesday, 27th April. Now coming to the pleasant task of delivering a vote of thanks to Mahendra Bhai. Your friends, you will agree that we told him about the change in the audience just 5 minutes outside, and he was able to change his entire speech to suit the audience. So you can imagine the depth of knowledge he has delivered to us today. I request you to carry out the loud applause.
We have 3 seconds now.